carrying on from yesterday's partridge stuffed with strychnine, we now have Cold Turtle Lake. Now, if you don't know what those lyrics were supposed to be, it's supposed to be Cold Purple Lake. So, oh, I just said Cold Purple Lake. Kilmuth! So, this particular story on the second day of Kilmuth is Cold Turtle Lake. And trust me, it was really hard to find one that had anything to do with turtles, doves. It's April 1920 at Turtle Lake in North Dakota, USA. Turtle Lake back in the 1920s was in fact tiny. Less than 400 inhabitants actually lived there. Now, just to give you some perspective on that, more people die from falling out of bed in the US than there were inhabitants in Turtle Lake. The Wolf family, or it might be Wolf family, because it was a family of German immigrants who perplexingly immigrated from Russia and not from Germany, but they were definitely German immigrants. There was Jacob, the father, Beata, the mother, and the children aged from 3 to 12. Maria, Edna, Bertha, Lydia, and Martha, and lastly, baby Emma, who was 8 months old at the time. They also had lived-in hired help in Jacob Hoffer, who was 13. A spooky true crime story starts on a cold morning in April 1920. The farm that they had built and worked on was usually visited by neighbours, obviously to work together and everything that you do when you're a neighbourly, farmerly type person. The neighbour came across the farm and found it empty and silent. Deathly silent. There were clothes hanging on the clothesline. No sounds of the children outside, no sounds of horses being tended to or taken care of. Complete, eerie silence. Now, if that wasn't freaky enough, the neighbour really had a bunch of surprises in store for him laying in the barn. When he came across them, he came across 3 of the family's bodies. Obviously, investigating further, he then came across the rest of their bodies in the basement. The police were called as the neighbour went out, and the police got there and started investigating the zone. What they found when they looked further was in fact there was one survivor. It was baby Emma. Emma had managed to survive the brutal slaying of her family and was found crying and hungry in her crib. As is usually the case in times like 1920, where forensics techniques are pretty lacking to say the least, but it was very, very difficult to immediately get a sense of what happened. The only thing that they could really tell from the bodies is that they had been murdered with a hatchet or a shotgun. The Wolf family was actually really, really well liked. To give you a scope of just how liked this family was, there was only 400 people in Turtle Island, the town of it, so when their funeral came about, 2,500 people attended. That's probably more people than the entire town has ever seen at once. This is kind of like a Guinness World Book of Records for them. On the day of the burial, not much was known about the killer. However, there's one really smart Herbert who tends to be a murderer in these sort of stories that just can't act normal. This individual in question was a man called Henry Leyer, who was actually a neighbour farmer to the Wolf family. He attended the funeral, and instead of just mourning like everybody else, he insisted on going up to all 8 of the caskets, opening them one by one, and staring the dead bodies in the face. Staring at a dead body like this is not the actions of a sane man. I mean, seeing as literally everybody plus an extra 2,000 people are attending the funeral, all the police are going to be there going, I wonder what Henry's doing. God, he's getting really close to those bodies, isn't he? That's weird. Get the cuffs. Not only this, he had been seen skulking around their farm. Like, you know, like proper skulking. He also was extremely willing to help, like really super eager to help the police. In fact, he even suggested going up there and helping conduct with the search of the area. And he immediately walked them into the barn and picked out a bunch of shotgun shells that they hadn't discovered. He got arrested. Henry Leia was then interrogated by the police, in which he gave a lengthy confession. Leia's main reasoning for doing what he did to go over there and talk to the Wolf family was because he believed one of their dogs had bitten one of his cows. God, don't have a cow, Henry. Now, he did kind of go for the self-defense technique where he said that it was actually Wolf that ended up presenting his shotgun towards him, and he just retaliated and tried to protect himself. But nobody knows, because even though that's possible, when he went to prison, he could have confessed that he went there in absolute cold blood. Instead, he died 5 years later of appendicitis. When explaining why it was that he left 8-month-old Emma thinking possibly that there was a bone of compassion in his body, he just couldn't find the baby. I mean, she was in the crib. It's not like she magicked herself in there. I mean, if it's very, very early in the morning, baby probably gonna be in crib, so this guy was obviously missing a few. The family still has a memorial at which you can go and visit if you want, when they were buried. It's beneath a stone that reads, Die Ermordet Family. Obviously German, and I totally butchered that, and I didn't mean to. A bit like the family. Thank you for watching, and obviously if you like the content or you've got any comments, I've got some comments from the last video, and I've moved the microphone, so hopefully we don't have this lonely right ear issue going on with the headphones. So, you know, keep those comments coming in so I can try and get this better and things like that, and I will see you tomorrow.